All right, James, it's really great to see you again.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Always exciting to talk to you about movies you've made. Now, Tim Burton did Alice in Wonderland. Mm-hmm. You have done Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Yep.
And he said that the reason you got to do it was because you wanted to do it. I thought,
that's true.
That's all you have to do. You just gotta, if you don't ask, you don't get.
That's a wise lesson from Tim there. Yeah, I mean, look, I grew up with Alice. Like, I'm English, so you grew up with this in your house, your parents' house, grandparents' house. Everyone's got that book, or both books, often in a compendium together. And so I knew Alice. I felt like I knew what I wanted to be. And also in Tim's movie, I love Mia being Alice, because Mia felt like what the girl that how Lewis Carroll described Alice as a 6-year-old, Mia felt like a 15-year-old, and also therefore would also be the woman Alice at 24 years old. So I knew that the Tim's world would work very well with this book. And then for myself, that I remember when I read those books back in the day, I used to laugh at them. They made me laugh. I find the Mock Turtle amusing because it's very clever comedy. And I really, as you know, I've done a lot of comedy in my life, so I wanted to try and bring a touch of that back to it too, I guess.
Mm. Yes, there's the bit of the anarchy that I think you like.
Yeah.
You've peppered it, you've done as much as you can within the boundaries of it.
Well, because it's Victorian, so there's only so much you can do, but at the same time, it's always fun. I mean, I can't help but try and make jokes whenever I possibly can. Mm-hmm. It's in my work, but just what you do. But at the same time, this was very important as an adventure story. It's like you should be going with, and also an emotionally engaging story. Mm-hmm. Because again, one of the great things about when I do Muppet movies is that they can be anarchic and fun, but you love these people. You care about their feelings towards each other and for themselves, and that was important for this one too.
We had no books in my house, by the way. just country and western VHS videos. So I can't relate to you on that point. This sounds like a leading question. It's not, but I have always wondered: is Johnny Depp undirectable?
Not at all. No. In fact, the opposite. He's incredibly collaborative. Like, you never know what to expect when you meet people. You've no idea. Obviously, he's a very famous person, so when you meet him, you just have no idea what to expect and how it's going to be. But no, he's amazingly cooperative and collaborative. And even though he knows his character so well, because he did it so well in the first one, and it was I really loved the choice he made in that film, whereby he played it in a kind of vulnerable hatter, which was a great idea, rather than just being the obvious wacky guy. And so in this film, I thought, well, we should really use that element of him, that he is broken and he needs fixing. And he was very into that, and so we talked about how that would be represented visually and how the performance would work. And in that first scene with Alice, he's got a lot of turns to make as a character. It's really hard. And he pulls it off with an amazing aplomb, and it's like you just watch him and he works so damn hard at it. It's amazing, and he's great at it. And yeah, it was an absolute pleasure, really amazing.
Who revived you when you felt broken after a really grueling long day's filming?
The pub near where I was staying helped with that situation very much. No, I don't know. Yeah, it was a tough one. I mean, these shoots are very complex. There's a huge amount of, there's a lot of action in this movie, and putting those sequences together in blue, it was very demanding physically on Mia for sure. But I was very keen when I was doing that was to ensure that she stayed as Alice, because Alice isn't a superhero. Alice is a brave girl, and therefore she needs to have struggle in those sequences. So whenever you see her do any of that stuff, that's really her doing it, and often she's struggling, which is important to me because it feels real, and it's in character, which is very important.
Yeah. Well, there's that, she does the vulnerability thing.
She does.
Combined with being a very sort of strong-willed person very well, which
she's very sure of herself, which is great, and she doesn't care what people think, which is also great, and those things count today as much as they did 250 years ago.
She's quite a bohemian girl, and I was thinking, is this the most bohemian
Mia
cast?
Or Alice?
Mia. Well, probably not Alice. Or your Alice. Maybe.
Well, she's quite worldly because she's been around the world, and so she's kind of been to China, and so been at the court, and so she wears the court wear to this party when she knows people think it's weird, but she doesn't care, which I love about her.
So you got that. You got Helena Bonham Carter. She doesn't care what people think of her. She has this amazing sense of style. You got Jonny, who's just got the rock and roll thing going, and then you throw Sasha into the mix.
Sure.
Who's probably one of the most.
I like a challenge.
You've put the most bohemian cast of sort of artistic people together in one room.
It's fun. You just wind them up and watch them go. It's great, and that's why it's fun. Those scenes with Jonny and Sasha are such fun because they are naturally competitive like that, and it creates a great energy in a scene. And it also works for the characters would do the same, and so that just adds another layer to it. But it's amazing. I really am very pleased with the idea that people don't care what people think of them, because I think these days there's so much of that in the world as a whole, particularly for girls, in terms of social media pressure, peer pressure, whatever. That if you can be taught not to care what other people think, it's a very valuable lesson.
Oh, I totally agree, and it's impossible. You try and tell yourself you don't care.
Of course.
And it creeps back in like some Japanese knotweed.
No, absolutely.
Now, I didn't know Sasha was going to be in the movie until I saw the trailer. I sometimes like to keep that a surprise.
Right.
So I thought it was an inspired piece of casting to put him in. And you and him go way, way back.
Yes, back to the last century.
So
it's true.
Before I go, what was that like? That must have been.
Well,
is your relationship different on a big movie like this than it was?
Not really, because what the joy of it is going back to what we used to do together when we used to be in a van doing energy in the 1990s. You know what I mean? Like, it was this really fun time, and just creating ideas about character and how he holds himself, how he moves physically, the way he walks, how he sounds, and all that stuff was like those characters we did, AG and Borat and Bruno. Why we didn't do a lot of characters, we want to do a few characters in great detail and make them really work as characters. So no one ever questioned that he was who he was. No one ever said, "I don't believe you're this guy," ever, which is an amazing testament to Sasha. And so with time, we wanted to create a character which would be on a par with that, whereby he is that guy. And so we really thought about it a lot and tried to make him fit into the palette that existed of like Jonny and Helena and Anne. And therefore and Sasha can do this because it's quite a big space to fill. But Sasha's such a great performer and so brave and fearless in so many ways that he really holds it together and is great in the film. And not only in the sense he's funny, but you like him. It's really important you like Time, because Time isn't really a bad guy in this movie. Time is always neutral. Time doesn't judge you. And I remember when we used to do Borat, that often people, even though Borat has some terribly offensive opinions, people really like Borat. People love hanging out with that guy. And so I wanted to bring that to this character whereby you would like him. And I felt it would be nice to have a feeling that he was maybe lonely and being taken advantage of, and that would be amusing. So, no, I thought it worked out great. I'm really thrilled for him.
And there's a bit of Daniel Day-Lewis in his look from Gangs of New York.
Yes, with the Butcher Bill sideburns. Yeah. For this guy. Yeah. Well, the design of that guy is like most of Victorian. Well, I guess basically the drawings of John Tenniel is like high Victoria meets medieval kind of feel, and so that is like he wears doublets and pantaloons with a kind of hat of like a bishop and then a massive Victorian. So that's kind of mesh of various styles, but it really works. And I'm always obsessed with silhouettes. The silhouettes for characters really help. And that guy, he's coming if you see him in the shadows. Like, he just is that guy with that, And that's why we built the corridor that's shaped like him.